saying that multiple villages across the northern region of the Emerald Valley had been completely leveled in what officials are calling an unprecedented catastrophe. Witnesses have described a floating mass, enormous in scale, tearing through everything in its path. Authorities are urging all citizens to remain indoors. I repeat, remain indoors. Do not go out. But let's hear from our ground reporter, Jerry. So, what's going on out there? It's not stopping. Oh no, get back.
Right. A giant floating monster destroying villages? Please, that's just government propaganda. First the Emerald Levy and now they want to shift to a wither storm on the loose? Yeah, sure. Anything to keep us from asking questions. But, you know, everyone around here is so foolish that they actually believe it. It's kind of crazy, like everyone's losing their minds. They're hiding in their little houses, they're hoarding their resources, and they're talking like the world is ending. Even the animals are acting weird, but it's all just superstitious nonsense. Me? Well, I've got a house to build, so I really don't care about this nonsense. I just need a roof over my head before that storm arrives. Now, a few of my neighbouring villagers decided,
we can't take this anymore. We need to defeat the beast.
And so they packed up their gear, grabbed some bread and marched off towards the Emerald Valley. Said they were
going to find the truth.
Like they were some sort of heroes in a story. The truth is, you can't fix a problem that doesn't exist. There is no cataclysmic beast. But meanwhile to all that, I was doing just fine. Because, you know, there is no monster, as I completed my roof before that storm had arrived. My crops were all thriving, and I had my fresh milk and cookies every morning. It was delicious. Things were actually going really well. You know what though? If the rest of the world wants to panic, they can panic. I had peace. But, you know, thinking about it, they never did come back. That group that went to the Emerald Valley, they were gone. No letters were sent home, no messages, just silence. That was odd. The valley is only a few days away. They should have been back by now. Twice over, in fact. And thinking about it, sometimes in the early mornings, I'd hear something. A kind of screech far off. Just once, and then nothing. And even the animals could kind of sense that something was wrong. They refused to go outside, even though the weather was great. And well, it all culminated just a month later, as the sky began to flash, not with lightning, but with beams of purple that teared across the clouds. Okay, maybe something was wrong. No, let's not lie here. Something was definitely wrong. I could ignore it, and I could just claim it as propaganda. But this time, it wasn't. There was a real threat out there. I need to see it with my own eyes. So, I leapt onto my golden horse, aka Subscriber the Third, and together we ventured towards the Emerald Valley. This was a mission that needed to be completed. The world might just be reliant on us. Or maybe this is just a hoax, but I'm doubting it now. The road to the Emerald Valley was only a couple days long. I'd made the trip before, but it never felt like this. The trees were too still. The sky too quiet. I kept thinking I heard things behind me, but every time I looked, there was nothing. Oh, and the closer we got, the darker it became. Not only during the night though. The sky was just wrong, and every so often I would hear it. But then, just as we were about to enter the Emerald Valley, she stopped, completely. No matter what I did, she wouldn't move another block. She knew that something was up. So I had no choice but to dismount my horse and continue into the Emerald Valley on foot. But with every step I took, the world felt less like my own. No birds, no animals, just the sound of my boots, the wind, and something else. I didn't want to admit it, but those villagers were right. There was something here. Eventually, I reached what was left of the village. Or what used to be one, I think. I was certain I could hear them. The villagers. Their voices, not yelling, they were just existing. Like the souls of those who were here had never really left. These villagers have been killed by something not of this world. The destruction was immense as well. How did this happen? Also, the sky, it really wasn't blue anymore. It was now a dark purple with a deep swirling void. That sound, it was louder now, no longer distant. Like, whatever that creature was, it knew that I was here. And, oh no, it began to rain, so I just decided to seek shelter in a nearby temple, or stone hall, I think. I really didn't want to encounter that beast in the rain, just in case it had something like evil lightning powers, you know? It has transformed the sky after all. Inside the ruins, I found something I wish I hadn't. It was a cursed mural. Ancient, primitive, and at the top, the Wither, clear as day. But in the centre the painting twisted. The Wither's 3 heads were malformed. One fused into something grotesque. The body was elongated, the tendrils curling downwards. And there was this storm cloud above it that rained purple fire? The screech came again. It was louder than ever before. I could feel it in my bones. Whatever this thing was, it wasn't just a monster. It was something far worse. And as I left the ruins, I saw it. A silhouette against the clouds. Gigantic. It was a floating, pulsating mass. In the centre, the fused skeletal heads of the Wither. They were mutated beyond recognition, just like that cursed mural. It floated slowly, impossibly massive. This was the Wither Storm. I stumbled back in panic, falling into the darkness, and fell into some kind of basement. In that moment, everything was silent. And I looked around. This was the remnants of something older. A lab? A basement? I couldn't quite tell. Oh, hold on. What's that? Merge cell matrix. Unstable corruption, conduit of storm energy. We never meant for it to survive. The command block. It grew minds of its own. The words were terrifying, but what scared me more was the silence that followed. A purple light spilled through the cracks above. I looked up. Oh, who's there? I drew my bow, aiming upwards. The Witherstorm's 3 heads swirled with energy, each growing brighter than the last. One massive tendril twitched, looking onto me. I shot, but my arrow bounced back. The Witherstorm pulsed, and then fired. A concentrated beam of pure energy blasted downwards like lightning. It hit me directly. My body glowed, fractured, and dissolved into light. I should have died right there. But instead, I saw everything. It was white, and I was floating, or maybe falling, I couldn't quite tell. And then I saw them. A vast field stretched endlessly beneath me, littered with shells? Were these Ender Dragon eggs? There were hundreds, no, thousands, cracked, abandoned, ancient. In the distance, some shadows moved. The beings that cast them were tall, slender, but not Endermen. They were something older. They glided across the horizon of the end. Elegant, yet terrifying, cloaked in the shimmering light of the void. They didn't speak. They only watched as something began to stir in the darkness. a summoning. Suddenly, I was in the nether. The heat was suffocating, lava churned in endless rivers, soulfire danced in unnatural patterns. Ahead, a massive fortress rose from the flames. I saw figures. They were ancient villagers, cloaked in luxurious robes, and they were gathering around a soul sand altar. They were whispering, channeling something into the structure. They weren't summoning something, they were experimenting. Were they using the souls to create technology? I stood in a city of gleaming stone and golden light. Towers pierced the clouds, beacons bathed everything in warm light. It felt safe, advanced, subscribed, alive. But beneath all of it, I could sense that same soul-like energy. And then my head was forced to turn. I watched as these ancient villagers opened a portal to a world of souls, but it shattered, and the wither was brought forth. Quickly, things turned violent. There was this wave of soul energy, and then the light changed. I watched the ground crumble. These buildings sunk. The magic shattered like glass. The city decayed in seconds, twisted, consumed by something it couldn't contain. Hold on. That wasn't just a city. It was one of those ancient cities. And then time began to bend. I watched as millennia passed in the blink of an eye. Stone eroded, moss spread, and the ruins fell silent. Then they came back. Those tall mythical beings from the end. They walked into the ruins like nothing had changed. Like this was their home and they were just coming back. And they summoned the Wither. Only they did something rather peculiar. In the heart, instead of a soul sand, they placed a glowing cube. A command block. It pulsed once, twice, and then everything exploded into light. I woke up, back in my body, shaking, barely breathing, the wither storm floating above. But I understood it now. The wither storm was never supposed to exist, but those ender beings had made it anyway. And now, if I want to stop it, I have to go back to where it all began. So join me, because time is running out. If we don't defeat it, the wither storm will destroy everything.